music, live music, in a very special way. And here on this show, we try to do that as often as we can. So for the first time in front of me today, first time meeting this gentleman that's going to play for you, hailing from near Tacoma at this point, we'll talk about that later, but has his roots here in Houston as well and is back visiting for the holidays. I give you Mr. Rusty Reid. Rusty, go ahead and take it away, man.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thanks a lot, Sandy. Yeah. I appreciate it. It's great to be here. Back in H-Town.
There you go.
Love this town. Love this city.
How can you not?
I know. It's great.
It really is. We've got great music here, and you got some roots here. We'll talk about that. Why don't you go ahead and play a couple, and we'll go from there.
Okay, cool. Well, this is the title song from my latest album, just out recently. The album is called Head to Heart, and coincidentally enough, this song is also called Head to Heart. So here we go. Heaven knows life can be so cruel, and it feels like hell each time things fall apart. We pass from class to class and hard knock school, but the longest journey is from head to heart. Goodness knows the path can be so lonely. Some days it's so hard to even start. We strain to remain sane to some degree, but the longest journey is from head to heart. We may travel the world, learn everything there is to know, but until our love freely flows, we really let it go. We really haven't grown into our high soul. We may travel the world, learn everything there is to know, but until our love freely flows, we really let it go. We really haven't grown into our high soul. Selfishness shadows human striving, and self-inflicted wounds among our scars. Far as the farthest star, we may go flying. Still the longest journey is from head to heart. Far as the farthest star, we may go flying. The longest journey is from head to heart. The longest journey is from head to heart. So that's Head to Heart. So another song on the album is called ELDORADO. There's a kind of cool backstory to this one. It's an Edgar Allan Poe song, poem, a short poem by Edgar Allan Poe. I kind of found it when I was a teenager and always loved it. In fact, I loved it so much I wrote it down in cursive and on a piece of paper and put it in my wallet and carried it around with me for the next 10 years till it fell apart. But most people read the story, the little poem, as a negative, where the there's a knight involved, and he meets this mysterious shadow that many people assume is the shadow of death, and that he dies after the poem, the ending of the poem. He just leaves him hanging. But I never perceived it that way. I always interpreted it as a positive song where he took the advice of this shadowy figure and he went on and discovered ELDORADO, the city of gold. Didn't know how that actually worked out, but that's always what I had in the back of my mind. So a few years ago, I thought, well, I should just go ahead and finish that poem out. So I had the audacity to take Edgar Allan Poe's poem and jam another verse onto it. So this is my version of ELDORADO. Gaily bedight, a gallant knight, in sunshine and in shadow, had journeyed long, singing a song, in search of ELDORADO. He grew old, this knight so bold, and o'er his heart a shadow fell as he found no spot of ground that looked like ELDORADO. And as the strength failed him at length, he met a pilgrim shadow. Shadow, said he, where can it be, this land of ELDORADO? Over the mountains of the moon, down the valley of the shadow, ride, boldly ride, the shade replied, if you seek for ELDORADO. Here's my verse. Brightly in light, the wandering night crossed the mountains and below. He never found that spot of ground, but he finally knew ELDORADO. He never found, that spot of ground. Inside is where hides ELDORADO. Inside is where hides ELDORADO. Ride, boldly ride.
Rusty Reid, live in the KPFT studio. Thanks to you. Remember, kpft.org. Rusty, that was pretty interesting. And listening to the two tunes and listening to the sound check, we talked about it a little bit, but you grew up in Lubbock.
Midland.
Midland.
Yeah.
Don't want to confuse the two. There's probably like a football rivalry, and if you do that, you risk your life. But anyway, out in West Texas is where you got your start, and you've got some direct and pretty major influences that people know about. You grew up on Buddy Holly?
Yeah, I did actually. My cousin, a little bit older than me, was lived up in Lubbock. It's just 100 miles away, so that's a skip and a jump, West Texas wise. And we would go up to Lubbock a lot. And my cousin lived in Lubbock. He was a friend of Buddy Holly's, and he had a rival band. My cousin's band was called the Night Owls, and I was so impressed with them. Danny Payne was his name, and he was my hero back in those days. But and then in our area in Midland, we had a fabulous singer who circulated around that area, whose name was Roy Orbison. And I was introduced to his songs very early as a little kid, and just that voice, wow, that's the greatest voice I've ever heard.
Absolutely. Pretty amazing.
I think that subconsciously I have always hoped to kind of emulate that voice a little bit. So some people say they can hear a little.
That's a tough chore.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is a tough act to follow.
But more than that, I mean, artists like Neil Young, Gordon Lightfoot, you throw that out at you.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. All those folk singers. Later, I discovered Woody Guthrie, and so this album that I put out, Woody Guthrie's memory and just his spirit was kind of flowing through that. Not necessarily in the way I sound or the way the songs are structured, but just the idea I want to tell it like it is, and I want to address the issues of the day. So this album is all about that. But yeah, Neil Young, Gordon Lightfoot, all those singer-songwriters, the Eagles and James Taylor, and of course I was a '60s kid, so you couldn't be a kid in those days and not be influenced by the Beatles, and yeah, just a whole lot of influences back in those days. As you remember, probably we had Top 40 radio where we shared the playlist. And that playlist was rock and pop and folk and soul and, R&B and Motown and all country and all kinds of strange little novelty songs coming along. And so it's a wonderful time. And you could just draw inspiration and influence from all of that.
You started out in West Texas.
Yeah.
And you decided you wanted to really do this. You wanted to go get into the music industry. So you made the decision and you picked yourself up and you moved to?
Well, first I moved to Houston.
Right.
Yeah. I grew up in Midland, which was a small city. In those days it was about 60,000. So it was not quite a town anymore, but a city. But I always dreamed of the big city. And for wanting to stay in Texas as a Texan, Houston was the place to go. So after graduation, I moved to Houston.
Did you hear that, Dallas? Just saying.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, which was a bit strange because I did have more family in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I'd really only been to Houston once before in my life. My uncle lived here for a short while.
So you were hanging around here musically?
Yeah, I was going to U of H. I went to U of H, and mostly I was listening back in those days. I was writing songs already and playing guitar, and but as far as the local music scene, I would just go and listen. So I'd go to the Old Quarter and hear Lightning Hopkins, and that was back in the day when they had the Catacombs and the Sweetheart of the Road, the Sweetheart of Texas downtown, and
right.
Sand Mountain, and all these clubs. And I would just hang out and just soak it in. Don Sanders and those kind of guys, so it was super. And but then I left school in '72, and I thought I'm ready for Nashville. So I moved up to Nashville and had a great initial success. I was signed as a songwriter for Pierce Southern Music, big publishing company, and we recorded our demos in RCA Studio B, where Elvis recorded his stuff, and where a jillion hit country records have been recorded, and that was super for a while. But then we weren't getting a lot done as far as getting our songs cut, any of us in the stable there with Pure Southern. So I thought, well, I'll move out to L.A. One of the raps against my material, which really wasn't that good anyway back then, but it was not country enough. It was too pop rock. So I thought, well, I'll go to L.A. where I'll be a little bit more in style. So I took my demos from Nashville out to L.A., and I went to the Pure Southern office there. And I said, well, here I am, what can you do for me? And they listened to them, and they said, well, yeah, that sounds like Nashville, all right.
Yeah, there you go. So you went from like one extreme to the other, and it's funny from a musician's perspective. you go and you're doing solid work and you're writing good songs in your mind and they're sounding good to you. And yet people are, no, wait, that's not country, or, that's not California cool, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to make your own way.
Right.
And it's a tough road.
It really is. It's kind of you have to have some talent. You have to have a little bit of luck. You have to have timing. You got to have connections. All those things come into play.
And you got to have people that support music. I hope the folks listening keep this in mind when it's nighttime and you're thinking, man, I don't want to watch any more Star Trek reruns. Get off your couch. Go out and hear some music.
Speaking of that, those that are listening, pat yourself on the back, because it takes a special. People. It takes a higher consciousness to listen to original songs you've never heard before by an artist you've never heard before. Most people can't do it. They don't want to do it. They don't even want to listen to new songs by their favorite artist, much less some strange guy on the radio or something that they never heard of. But if you're still listening, thank you so much.
Yeah,
you're a cut above. You're a cut above.
Yeah, take a chance. Take a chance. You got another one for us?
Yeah, sure. Let me see what I've got here.
Rusty Reid live in the KPFT studio.
Yeah, this I'm already working on another album, and the next one, believe it or not, is going to be called Bayou Line, Songs from Houston.
Okay, so that will be album number 3. Let's put it in perspective.
Yeah,
you're just starting to really put this down and record, which is really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Well, these are old songs that I wrote or recorded in Houston that I always love and I like, and so I just kind of re-recorded them, gave them a little modern feel, and so I'll just throw these out, and these are some of my better songs. They're not exactly what I'm, my raging liberal songs that I do these days. But they're fun songs. So here's one from that album that's going to be out next year. This one's called RIO FRIO. The backstory of this one is I thought I would write an opera, a Texas opera, one time, and so I thought it would be the history of Texas in songs, and none of them were any good except for this one. This was supposed to be about the days of the Nueces Strip. It was after Texas had, or it was during the Republic days, or shortly thereafter when Texas was a new state, and there was this disputed territory between the Nueces River and the Rio Grande that Mexico claimed and Texas / the United States claimed, and there was no law down there, so it was where the outlaws hid out. And this song is about some young outlaw that's down there hiding out and missing his sweetheart back in, I don't know, maybe Galveston or something. It's called RIO FRIO. Everything's quiet in Texas tonight. RIO FRIO and I. It's lonely and dark, I miss my sweetheart. Stars are just stars tonight. The cottonwoods quake, seeming to say, cowboy, you're dying so young. But if it wasn't here, I'd be somewhere near a story whose time hasn't come. Back in a different place and time, she waits by a window I know, Sea Island blow, and me on her mind. Everything's quiet in Texas tonight. RIO FRIO and back in a different place and time, she waits by a window I know, Sea Island blow, faces tonight, Rio Frio and I. It's lonely and dark, I miss my sweetheart, Rio Frio, Rio Frio and I.
Rusty Reid live in the KPFT singing the Rio Frio. It's a good spot to go tubing and stuff. And,
definitely, yeah.
So you're here visiting for Christmas. Truly, you're going to go have a Christmas dinner and see some family. When are you going to come back to town to play? Do you have any?
Don't have any gigs set up yet. I was kind of waiting around to do this new album because it'd be so Houston oriented. So sometime next year. I'll be back and hopefully playing some dates, and that would be super to see everybody out.
Yeah. Well, Tim, if you're listening, a little plug. Larry's here, so. Anyway, hey, we got time for one more.
Okay.
Go for it, man.
All right. So
where do people find that album, by the way?
The album's available for sale at Amazon or rustyreid.com. Reid is REID. rustyreid.com. You can also stream it on Spotify and iTunes and Amazon and all those things.
You could have been a clarinet player with a name like that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's REED, though.
Yeah, I know, but, hey, little play on words, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So, yeah. And I've got a YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and look for Rusty Reid, REID, and you'll find me. Got a bunch of videos there from the new album mainly. But here's another song from the new album that was written. Actually, this was actually written in L.A., but it was recorded in Houston, and it was actually my first 45 record single with the band I was with at the time.
With the spindle included.
And this one's called Louisiana, so not far away. So it's kind of bayou oriented. So this is Louisiana. A week from today, I'm heading out to Louisiana. Here I come. I don't like it here, I'm heading out to Louisiana. Here I come. We're back down New Orleans way and Creole cooking. Night and day with them crazy Cajun women. And when this week is done, I'll grab my hat and run. Look out, Louisiana, here I come. I'm dying to see them green bayous of Louisiana. Here I come. A little southwest of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Here I come. Back down, hanging out on the Atchafalaya. Me oh my oh, Zydeco on the plaza. Ooh-wee. When this week is done, I'll grab my hat and run. Look out, Louisiana, here I come. Well, a week from today, I'm heading out to Louisiana. Here I come. I don't like it here, I'm talking about Louisiana. Here I come. But back down New Orleans way and Creole cooking. Night and day with them crazy Cajun women. Ooh la la la. And when this week is done, I'll grab my hat and run. Look out, Louisiana, here I come. Look out, Louisiana, here I come. Look out, Louisiana, here I come.
They got casinos there. Is that where you're going?
Yeah.
No, that was a beautiful tune. I'll tell you, I'm really enjoying listening to what's going by. It's melodic. It's well thought out. And I'd love to hear more about the liberal tunes one day when you come back, when you're in town working on that Houston album, and bring that back. Let's see if we can get that going over here.
We'll get that album head to heart. It's all about the liberal vision.
A fine gentleman, Rusty Reid, stopping in for the very first time to Deadbeat and KPFT.
Right.
Yeah. But you knew about the station.
Oh, gosh, yeah. For ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I lived here 13 years and still got the Houston vibe, H-Town.
It's hard to ignore when you live here in terms of radio on the dial, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again, folks, kpft.org, you can make a donation any old time. And, we're going to move on with a little more music this afternoon. Rusty, don't be a stranger.
I'll be back.
I hope so. It's good to have you on. All right. It's always good to make new friends here at the KPFT.